Welcome back from the rest hold, everybody. It's time for us to get into our main event, which is actually going to be something a little bit different from we normally do for Belt or Bury. Usually we take care of one person, and we talk about whether or not they should win a championship or they should be demoted on the roster. But this time around, we're actually going to do two in one shot. Kind of compare people back and forth and go from the different possibilities of what they could do with their careers and so on and so forth. And those two people are Zack Ryder and The Miz, because they had that whole situation with the Intercontinental Championship. For those who don't know, for some reason, I don't know why you wouldn't know and you'd be tuning into this podcast, but at WrestleMania, Zack Ryder won the Intercontinental Championship, upset a lot of people, made a lot of people really happy too. And then he dropped it less than 24 hours later to The Miz. And that's kind of gotten some people going, well, maybe he shouldn't be necessarily the person that we should be winning the Intercontinental Championship either. But in that regard, we should talk about what's going on with that and the other types of championships that they could win, or if they should just be, future endeavored. So let's start off with the sort of like the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the championship stuff, the tag team title. If you're going to win any kind of a championship in WWE, the tag team one's like, you might win that one if you're not really that great, or you just have some kind of like, you're partnered up with somebody who's fantastic and they want to give the belt to them or whatever like that. Still is worth something though, and it's got its benefits and so on and so forth. But when it comes to the tag team championship, let's go with The Miz first. Do you guys see The Miz as somebody who should be winning that belt anymore throughout his career? And if so, who do you think could end up being a potential tag team partner of his? Because the first person that comes to my mind is Tyler Breeze.
Exactly. That's someone who I was thinking. I mean, with Miz, you could definitely put him with some up-and-comer, and you could somehow put him over. Kind of like with what they did with Mizdow, but they ended up fucking that up. So imagine them doing that and not fucking him up to some extent. Tyler Breeze would be a perfect example of that. I would have no problem if Miz won the tag team titles, the IC title, and every title right now.
Peyton, what are your thoughts on the idea of, like, Miz becoming another tag team champion? He's had a couple different tag team runs. Big Show, Mizdow, Morrison, Jericho, I think, right? He had the tag titles with Jericho.
Mm-hmm. Sure, you can do The Miz in a tag team with anybody pretty much anytime you feel like it's appropriate. He's a guy who has the type of credibility and skill and a personality that melds with a lot of different people. I mean, if you're asking people on the roster that are there right now, you could put him with like a Tyler Breeze. You could put him with
Dolph Ziggler's another one I think can make sense.
Dolph Ziggler. I could see them doing like an oddball pairing, maybe with like a Sami Zayn.
They totally fucked up the Neville thing because that would have
been fun. Yeah, see, that's how versatile Miz is with that. You could put him with a lot of people.
With the idea of like you need to be more of a star and you don't really have what it takes other than in the ring and all that. I like that.
And shoot, they could have done something similar with Mizdow. He could still be a heel. Neville could still be a face, but he's kind of put in a situation where he has to be a tag team partner with them and they somehow win the title. So they've done shit like that before. It could easily work.
To bounce over, one of the ideas that I was thinking of with Zack Ryder was if he were to be in a tag team with anybody, one of the only people I could see him being paired up with is Damian Sandow. And they could do like an odd couple thing of like this really smart guy and the really dumb guy.
Whatever happened to Mojo Rawley? Did he get released?
No, he's just Mojo Rawley.
I really had no problem with that. I never would want him to win the WWE tag team titles or really the NXT tag team titles. But if he won the tag team titles in like CCW, I wouldn't complain.
Zack Ryder, you mean? Or Mojo?
Both.
Well, we do have the Hype Bros still kind of hanging around there in NXT, and the NXT Tag Team Championship's a possibility. But, wait, go ahead and get your thoughts on the whole idea of Miz and somebody on the roster. What do you think about that? Is there anybody that stands out to you as a potential tag team champion that could be partnered up with the Miz?
The Big Show's become so complacent, and I like them as a duo so much that I'd be tempted to put those guys back together if you're asking me out of the current set of guys who I'd team them up with.
Or NXT.
I'd have to think on that a little more as far as NXT guys, but I think The Miz and The Big Show was a great pairing and probably the best tag team he did. That's debatable, I guess, but that was one of my favorite tag teams, and they had a really good run. Miz was the US champion at the time and the tag team champion. He's a guy you can put with anybody to be tag team champion when the division's low or everyone's kind of had their shuttle, everyone's kind of like run thin with the audience. So a very versatile guy, and I think That's one of his biggest contributions to the WWE. Very versatile.
So, Wego, you would go as far as tag titles go with The Miz. Yes. For, like, he could win that in the future?
Definitely.
Peyton, you go with the same?
Yep.
And Drew going with the same as well?
Yep.
That's 4 people that say, for at least the tag title, Miz is definitely a belt. Now, Zack Ryder, that's a little bit of a different story, and I'm just going to kind of bury the lead here a little bit. We're going to be harder on Zack Ryder than we are on The Miz. We all sort of agree on that. But there's a little bit of room of flexibility, at the very least with the Tag Team Championship and Ryder. We've got American Alpha and Enzo and Cass, and, well, I guess Enzo and Cass don't technically count anymore, but these different tag teams in NXT, and the Hype Bros have always been sort of in the middle range. Like, they're never the best, but they still kind of win every once in a while. NXT Tag Team Championship, is that something that should be at least a possibility for the future for Zack Ryder and Mojo Rawley, or has that ship sailed already? Peyton, I'll start off with you.
Mojo Rawley should be just taken off. I mean, I'm not going to say get rid of him, because the guy has size, he has energy. Like, that gimmick is him. He's just so full of energy. So I think you could do something with him, but the tag team was dumb. Zack Ryder doesn't gel with anybody. He's like the opposite of The Miz. Zack Ryder has such a oddball, goofy freaking gimmick. And you can't even put him with other goofy gimmicks. Like, I think they tried putting him with, like, R-Truth once. It was dumb. They tried putting him with hot chicks. You don't buy it because he's such a goof.
You know who worked really well with R-Truth? The Miz.
Yeah, it's true.
Absolutely.
Awesome
So,
truth.
I have no interest in seeing him in any kind of tag team, let alone putting a belt on him, even the NXT one.
So nobody on the main roster at all with Ryder seems interesting, or NXT?
Maybe somebody being released with him.
Well, that's a no, though, from Peyton. Wego, your thoughts on Ryder when it comes to those tag titles for either of them?
So, as far as the tag team titles go, if he was going to win any, if every tag team got injured, got sick, had to listen to Bret Hart and became brain dead, if all the tag teams were gone and there wasn't even any makeshift tag teams that worked, and maybe you brought Kurt Hawkins back. What was his name? It was Kurt Hawkins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they both grew their hair out and they both look like Edge again. Maybe then I could give them the tag team titles. Otherwise, fuck off, Zach.
That's 2 no votes. Drew, are you going to make it a 3?
Hell yeah. Zack Ryder sucks. He sucks in singles. He sucks in tag. He sucks in triplets. And worse off, he's fucking ugly.
Triplets.
So no. Yeah. Hey, no Triple H with him. That's for damn sure.
Triple Ets. See, I'm going to go with a yes, actually, for the tag titles and Zack Ryder. I don't think that he necessarily should win the NXT belts with Mojo, because I'm just not digging the Hype Bros all that much. But I think that there's a little bit of room for flexibility there. I mentioned the Damian Sandow tag team, and that's like, yeah, they're not going to be like New Day. They're not going to be like the League of Nations or the Wyatt family, or there's so many other teams. And this is going to be a running theme for Zack Ryder for me. There's so many bigger names that I could put there that I can't see a scenario happening. But at the same time, I wouldn't rule it out. So if you were to tell me, give him the tag belt or bury him, 2 different kind of extremes like that, I'd go more for the tag belt. But it's going to get a little bit hazier a little bit down the line because... Go ahead.
I will say there's one thing that Zack Ryder was able to do with himself at one point, that he was able to make a shitty YouTube show and then complain to everyone how he deserves to be given more of a shot. And then some people were like, hey, sure, let's change your name and stuff like that. So maybe in a weird incident, maybe that could happen again. Or they'll just do this weird thing where he randomly gets inserted because he's injured or everyone's injured and he's the only one left, so he ends up winning a tag team titles with someone. But Zack Ryder just is so forcefully bad. It's just disgusting, dude. I don't know how you gave him this.
I just feel that given all the other potential options, even a makeshift tag team between somebody else is a better option than Zack Ryder and anybody on the roster.
Well, with like the New Day, for example, they at first they sucked, but then they organically started doing new things and they got interesting. Zack Ryder has been doing the same thing for 5 fucking years now, where he's like, "Hey guys, woo woo, hey guys, why aren't you wooing anymore? Woo woo, come on guys, woo, you know it." And it's annoying as shit.
The only fit for him would be the Social Outcasts.
Ooh, yeah, you know what?
By replacing Adam Rose, and I would not give him the tag team titles then either.
You know what? That does bring up a good point, though. I could see him being a part of the Social Outcasts if they want to make that a group of 5.
They can make that a group of like 12.
Or you just, fire Adam Rose.
Yeah. I'd be done with that. Why not? But Drew, you brought up the idea of him having, a lot of support in the past and whatever, and that kind of moves us into the mid-card belts. He did have that U.S. title reign, and at the time, that was something that people were clamoring for. And I was so into it. I wanted him to win that belt. I wanted him to have a good title reign. They kind of fucked it up a little bit. And then he just dropped off the face of the earth, and it's been years since he was able to have that. So you're in a position now where, I wish it wouldn't have gone down that way, but the most I can do when it comes to a mid-card belt is a maybe. I can't say a yes, and that's a weak maybe, because I wasn't as against the Intercontinental Championship reign that he just had as most other people were. But come on, we all knew he was going to drop that immediately.
Yeah, that's really the best you could do with him.
If you win a belt in a match where there's 7 people and you're considered the second to least option that's going to win, and pretty much a guarantee that you're not going to win, and you pull out the victory, and everybody immediately
second
goes...
to least? I would have had Cara pegged before him.
You easily could have done Kalisto versus
there's definitely an argument for that. He could have been worse.
They could have had a tag team with the US and the IC champion. That would have actually been pretty cool.
That's a good point. Actually, that surpasses it. So he was the least likely option then. And if you're in that position, and everybody knows you're going to drop the belt immediately, you've got no credibility. And it sucks a little bit, because it's kind of a shame, but, Wago just brought it up, and Drew did as well. If you don't change your gimmick up a little bit and you grow stale, it's kind of a little bit on you. Undertaker's changed a little bit over the years. The Miz has kind of adopted some new mannerisms and stuff. We've gotten... Hell, look at Big Show. He changes to Weeping Baby and a fucking tank and whatever like this. It's like... Zack Ryder's doing the same exact gimmick, and it worked back in the day, but they still didn't even have a whole lot of confidence in him, and that's... you can't really justify him being some kind of mid-card champion now. I'm assuming everybody's going no with this, right?
Oh, hell yeah. No. And the thing is, with the idea that he can't change himself or he hasn't, someone like Kalisto, who is short, not very big, and he's a luchador type of wrestler, you can only do so much with that character. In most situations, he's going to be an underdog, so you have to play that up no matter what. With Zack, he's a normal built guy. You could easily change things up with him. At some point, he could have just dyed his hair black, went super emo. It's like, no, I'm not the Long Island True story anymore. That would have been something interesting. I would have been interested in something. But the reason why Zack has sucked for so many years, he doesn't change. He just says the same shit over and over again.
What were you going to say, Wago?
No, Drew just said something really weird. As far as Zack Ryder as a mid-card champion goes, well, you saw what happened. He won the title, and everybody immediately thought he was going to drop it the next night, and he did. He has no credibility. He shouldn't be a champion. We had John Cena push, get that US title to a whole new level. We had Daniel Bryan attempt the same thing. And then when you see shit like this, it's just kind of painful to watch. Zack, there was a time where he could have been a champion, and it's when they gave him the US belt, because he had a lot of momentum behind him. But then he showed there and then that he was just not up to par, and he wasn't up to that level, because everybody kind of jumped off the bandwagon as soon as he won it. They just kind of wanted to see it.
Peyton, what are your thoughts on that idea?
Fuck Zack Ryder. No belts for him.
Not even one?
None.
Not even like a belt for his jeans?
No. He deserves to be that asshole who has to walk around, keep pulling up his pants every 3 seconds so he can never actually do anything else with his hands.
Well, then, Peyton, I'll start off with you when it comes to The Miz. New IC champion. A lot of people are like hesitant to really believe that it's going to be as great of a title reign as some of the other ones we've had recently, but a lot of us are more positive on it. Are you pro Miz as mid-card title holder?
Well, he's a guy who certainly can do it. Whether this run will mean anything or not, I also kind of feel he might just be holding it, keeping it warm for somebody. I don't know who.
Sami Zayn.
Apollo Crews.
Oh yeah, Apollo Crews sounds more likely.
Apollo Zayn. Just merge them.
No.
But we talked about the future of The Miz being somebody who he doesn't get as much credit as he deserves a lot of the time, and the idea of him as the Intercontinental Champion.
It's kind of a perfect title for him. I wouldn't be shocked to see him break Jericho's record of winning it the most times.
How many has he won already?
9.
This is his 5th.
Oh, Miz has won 5th. Yeah, he won 5.
4 more is quite a bit, but you know what? It's not out of the realm of possibility.
But he's a company guy as well.
Yeah.
Jericho had left at some point. If he didn't leave for a 2-year stretch, he probably would have won that title more. Miz is someone that has been has proven that he could be inserted in a mid-card picture, and it would be perfectly fine. He's a good company guy. There's no reason that I would expect him to leave anytime soon, especially with his wife now in the company as well.
Well, if you count the U.S. title reigns, too, as sort of like being on par with the Intercontinental, then he's probably surpassed it, right?
No. He's only had like 2 at the most U.S. title reigns, I feel.
Let's see here. He has had, 2 of them. Well, that's 7 right there, but
Still a lot.
Still would need 2 more. But mid-card belt ideas, Peyton, are you giving a yes, a no, or a maybe for The Miz?
Yes.
Wego, what are your thoughts on Miz with the mid-card belts?
I'm a big advocate for Miz in general. I think he's being underutilized. Being a very versatile guy, he can play the mid-card role or even the main event when you need him. So definitely, at a minimum, he should definitely get a mid-card title. The Intercontinental Championship, he hasn't had the best luck with, but he had a sweet-ass US title reign leading up to his WWE Championship. If you give this guy mic time and let him do his thing, he's very much on point. He's evolved his character over time. He's could work with pretty much anyone. And one of the biggest criticisms on Miz was he just wasn't that very good in the ring. But I think he's improved dramatically. One would even say he's awesome.
At the very least, he would. So that's another positive. Drew, what are your thoughts on the mid-card with The Miz?
A number of times, The Miz has been given the mid-card title, and he generates heat and boos almost every single time, other than that one time he was a face, and they booed him anyways because they wanted Bear to have the title. So I always give a thumbs up for Miz when winning titles, especially on a babyface that everyone loves. Miz naturally gets heat with almost everything he does, so he's a perfect heel to put in there to feud with someone, possibly win the IC title or US title, and put over someone in the process.
Well, I'm just going to make this foursome with a yes vote. Miz as a mid-card champion makes perfect sense to me, and I think that he's in that right type of spot in his career where he can kind of work with everybody. Like, he's been a world champion, so he's got credibility, but he doesn't have so much credibility where they kind of like sort of feel hesitant to ever do anything with him. Like John Cena, for instance, he had this amazing U.S. title reign, but most people in that spot, they wouldn't have been working with some of the people that he was. Like, he was fighting Sami Zayn, Stardust, Cesaro, and those people are significantly lower than him on the card. Somebody like The Miz is just at the right level where he's above them, but not so much that if they beat him, it's not going to be like, what? And he can put them over, he can beat them, and it's not going to look like total squash. Like, a lot of flexibility, and him holding that IC title is like, if you're going to give a mid-card belt to somebody, you should give it to somebody that either makes the belt look better or that belt makes them look significantly better. Miz helps the championship, I think, more than the championship helps the Miz.
Mm-hmm. I think in a lot of ways, when you said that he was a former world champion, I wouldn't use that as a credibility to a certain extent because you have Jack Swagger, like we were talking about before this segment, who has been a world heavyweight champion. I think a better way to say it was he main evented at WrestleMania. I think
Yeah,
that's
that's a
the
good one.
best. That's the biggest thing to his name. He main evented against John Cena. I think that alone is enough star power to put people over.
So then let's move into the world title, and let's just get it out of the way. We're all going no for Zack Ryder.
I would close my fucking company before I put the title on Zack Ryder.
There's just, I mean, I like the guy, but I can't justify it at all. In like pretty much any scenario, Zack Ryder can't win that belt. Like, if he would have been able to take that U.S. title reign and improve and improve and improve, then maybe he could have gotten to the point. But shit, there's a possibility that a lot of the people that deserve it more than he does still won't get a world title reign. Look at how far it took, how long it took for Mark Henry to get one. Or like Kane. Kane, for the longest time, had the belt for 1 day. And it took him until, when did he win that world championship? The most recently.
2008?
2008, 2009, something like that?
I'd say 2010. That was against Rey Mysterio, right? When we cashed in
Oh,
the
it might have been
title.
2010.
There was also a feud with Taker, so I always mix that area of Kane's career up.
That whole 2007 to 2012 range just kind of like, I don't know, it's all a blur. But it took him forever to get that belt. And we got people like Bray Wyatt still hasn't had the belt yet. Ryback never got his fair share when it came to that. And then you got John Cena, Dean Ambrose, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens. There's not going to be any room for Zack Ryder. And actually, you know what? I'm just going to go say it for The Miz, too. I don't think that The Miz is winning it anymore either. But I would at least give him a maybe. Because he's been world champion before. He's got more credibility. He's more, like, you can use him more with promotional stuff. He can go on talk shows and such. You can't trust Zack Ryder for that necessarily. So I'd go with a maybe for The Miz and a no for Ryder. But, Wago, what do you think about those two?
So Zack Ryder's the obvious no. Just like, even if you gave him a shit ton of momentum, gave him money in the bank, and he got a fluky ass win, still wouldn't be okay. As far as The Miz goes, the fact is he did it and it was good. So there is the argument that The Miz definitely could, but you would have to put him on one hell of a push, stay very consistent, and it would have to be at the right time. Unfortunately, I don't think that time's going to be anywhere in the near future, and probably not in the next 10 years. So, with The Miz, as much as he can do it, I'm going to have to say no.
Peyton, what do you think about those two?
Miz, I think, is someone who can do it. You just got to build him back up. I think he almost has more of a character credibility now than he did back when he was put in that world title feud. It's just a matter of building him up to be to that spot.
Any other thoughts on Zack Ryder?
Fucking turd.
And Drew, your thoughts?
Zack Ryder, hell no. If he was ever world champion at WWE, I think that's the day I close my laptop and I turn my TV off and I stop watching wrestling. So yeah, that's a hell no, Barry. And unlike you, Tony, it's called Belt or Barry, not Belt maybe or Barry. So good job.
Oh,
with
we're
that
trying
one.
to change this up a little bit.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess if that's okay then.
Well, how about you change the name then?
But with The Miz, like it has been previously said, he's done it before. I think the issue with The Miz possibly ever reaching that level again is that we're going in this new direction where the indie darlings, all these wrestlers who have been just amazing in the ring and probably don't have as much character, but can definitely build those in the future. I think the issue is The Miz isn't on that same level, and a lot of people view him as this guy who's only in the company to do movies and to do everything that's not really wrestling related, which I think is unfair because he has proven that, like Wago said, he's improved a lot ever since his world title reign back in 2011. I just don't think it'll happen anytime soon. I think the best situation for The Miz is before he retires, or before he retires and does his last hoorah, they give him one more push and one more big title run, and him possibly winning the title, and then
I hope
drop
that was an
someone on the way out.
I hope that was an intentional pun that you made.
Hell yeah!
You have no idea what I'm on about, do you?
Nope.
Hell no.
Hoorah! That used to be his catchphrase. God damn it!
How long ago was that?
That was like back when he was a presenter on SmackDown. He wasn't even a fucking wrestler.
Oh, I thought you were talking about when he did the Marine shit. He probably did that in the Marine, but I would definitely belt him if I had my opportunity, if I had my choice. But I don't think it would happen anytime soon, and it would be a last hoorah before he gets out. I'll do it again just for you.
Well, that does come to the final verdict thing: belt or bury. Drew is going with belt for the Miz. What about Zack Ryder? I'm assuming bury.
I said hell no for a reason. We buried him into the fucking ground. No, not 6 feet. We go 20,000 feet. And even then, it's not too far. So fuck him.
Wago, belt or bury, Ryder and Miz. What do you go with?
The Miz, belt, Intercontinental or United States, WWE if the world is on fire and all the wrestlers are dying. Zack Ryder? Go fuck yourself.
And Peyton, belt or bury, Zack Ryder, the Miz.
Zack Ryder should be buried like parsley is buried under mashed potatoes. Just mash it right in there. Miz,
some Rusevs.
I mean, he's got a belt on him. It's what it should be. And a belt is not on Zack Ryder. It's how it should be.
Hoorah.
Yeah, I got to go with bury for Zack Ryder. And it's, just kind of how it is. And the Miz, I'm going to have to go with belt, too. If you got to go with one side or the other, you push him to the very top of the company or you push him to the very bottom. Miz has done enough that I would be confident with him being a top guy as opposed to being somebody that we could just be like, just push him aside. We're not going to waste anything. Miz is a good enough talent that he's a lifer. And as far as I'm concerned, future Hall of Famer, for that matter. He'll add more accolades to his career and stuff and kind of justify it a little bit more, but that dude's done quite a bit already, and he's going to do even more in the future. So, that's it then for this belt or bury. Make sure you guys leave your comments below. Tell us what you think about the different options. What would you do for Zack Ryder and The Miz for the different championship options, as well as the whole, top of the card, bottom of the card, future endeavors, kind of a thing like that. And tell us what you think about the new, slightly changed up format. If you like that a little bit better than just the standard one person, one belt or bury type of a thing like that. And we need one more thing left for this episode, which is to take care of that little roundup of the Fantasy League season in part 5.